And right now we have some live visuals coming in from India's capital, where Nepal's Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli is receiving a ceremonial reception at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Now, Nepal's Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli arrived on Friday on a 3-day visit, and he was received by Union Minister Rajnath Singh. Now, the agenda of this meet is to strengthen partnership between the two countries. And as we can see that he is being accorded a ceremonial welcome at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Now, the delegation level talks are to happen today, and that will be held in the Hyderabad House at 11:30 a.m. And as the live visuals are coming in, we can see the ceremonial reception that Nepal Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli is receiving at Rashtrapati Bhavan. And now we are being joined in by our correspondent, Siddhant Sibal, who is there. Siddhant, tell us what is on ground, what does the ceremony look like, and what is going to be the agenda of the talks today between the two prime ministers?
Well, I'm standing at the Rashtrapati Bhavan where the Nepal's Prime Minister is being given a card of honor. He arrived 5 minutes ago, and of course, the focus of the talks will be many things, including demonetization, with the Nepalese side is going to raise because before going for this visit, he had briefed the parliament and talked about demonetization being a big issue. From the India side, the issue will be China's growing presence in Nepal and the activities happening in Nepal by the Chinese side. So that will be the focus. But as of now, you can see the guard of honor being given. This is something which is ceremonial. But this is something which is given to every foreign dignitary who arrives in India, and let me tell you, this is a permanent fixture in the entire itinerary of the foreign leaders' visit to India. And in this case, it's the Nepal's Prime Minister. It's a very short ceremony, but it involves the foreign leader being received by the Prime Minister and the President. Of course, the President has left for Africa, so that is why the President wasn't present here. So only Prime Minister Narendra Modi was present, and he received the Nepal's Prime Minister. And you can see that the guard of honor has begun at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. At the forecourt of the Rashtrapati Bhavan, the grand ceremony is underway, and the welcoming is being given to the Nepal's Prime Minister. And after that, the Prime Minister himself will take the Nepal's Prime Minister to the delegate sitting here, which involves Indian ministers as well as the Nepal's ministers. Remember, he is coming with a big delegation of 57 people. And of course, the Foreign Secretary is present there. India's ambassador to Nepal is present there. A lot of Indian ministers, cabinet ministers are present here. And after that, after the meeting with the Indian delegates, where it's a ceremonial stuff, but it involves the Prime Minister introducing his cabinet members to the foreign leader, in this case, as we know, Nepal's Prime Minister. And later on, it's expected that Nepal's Prime Minister is also going to speak. So that will be something which we'll be waiting for. And now we can see that the Nepal's Prime Minister meeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi, that handshake, that warm handshake. And now the meeting begins. As I told you, now he's meeting with the Indian Home Minister and other cabinet members.
Yes, Siddhant, before we move on now, this meeting is considered to be a very tactful move. Can you throw some light on that?
This is an important meeting because the Nepal's Prime Minister is visiting India first time after taking charge as the Prime Minister of Nepal, and it's kind of a tradition also for Nepal's Prime Minister after taking charge to visit India. But he will be leaving for China also, so that will also be the focus. But by and large, a 3-day visit that began yesterday with he meeting the business community and then meeting the Nepali diaspora at the Nepali embassy and meeting the Prime Minister also. We saw those visuals yesterday late evening coming from the residence of the Indian Prime Minister, and of course that you can see the Prime Minister has been introducing the Nepal's Prime Minister and his wife with the Indian cabinet ministers, and now it's the Nepal's Prime Minister's turn. He will be introducing his officials to the Indian Prime Minister, and thereafter we can expect a short statement by the Nepal's Prime Minister to the media present here. A lot of media is present from both the Indian side and Nepal side because it's a big visit and a lot of focus on many things, as I've already told you. And later on, he will be going to the Rajghat, where he'll be paying his tributes to the father of the nation, and of course meeting Indian cabinet ministers, external affairs minister. And now we can go live because he is going to shortly speak to the media here. This will be really important. You can see he is shortly going to speak to the media.
Yes, and it is a very crucial moment in the Nepal and India partnership. Let's listen in to what he has to say.
You know, friendship is the most important, and there is no comparison with friendship. Any treaty, any agreement, anything, everything starts from friendship. So with our neighbors, particularly with India, we expect first friendship, and time is changing, and we have developed our friendship according to the needs of times and according to the desires of our people, with purpose to eradicate poverty, improve the lifestyle of our people, life standard of our people. So I am here to share these feelings, and I am here this time again in this change contest to contribute whatever I can to develop and strengthen friendship between our two countries and two people in the government level and in the people's level. So I am talking to the government of India as well as to the private sectors, business sectors and other sectors as well. Our friendship is historical, renewed and developed and very fruitful and oriented towards the future, not looking back, but looking forward. Thank you.
Talking about how crucial friendship is and how crucial friendship plays in order to sign any treaty or in order to reach to any kind of agreement, and especially with India, since it happens to be a neighbor country. Now, again, he kept reiterating to the fact that how friendship is a strong and important pretext, and how it has evolved between Nepal and India over a period of time, with evolving needs to eradicate poverty and improve life standards. Now we are being joined again by Siddharth to throw some light on what is happening on ground at Rashtrapati Bhavan as of now. Siddharth.
Well, a very important statement made by the Nepal's Prime Minister. He said, we are not looking back, we are looking forward. That obviously means that bygones, let bygones be bygones, because we remember the first stint of the current Nepal Prime Minister, KP Sharma Oli, wasn't very good, because we know that there was an economic blockade, and he also said that his government has been destabilized by India. But of course, it's a new beginning today. The ties have been reset between India and Nepal, and focus is to look towards the future. That was the intent of Nepal's Prime Minister at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, where he just spoke short while back. And next, we will be waiting for the press statements at the Hyderabad House at around 12:30 p.m., where full-fledged statements will be made by both the Prime Ministers, and where we will get to know the nitty-gritties. We expect a joint statement also, and joint statement can actually elaborate on the new reset we can see between New Delhi and Kathmandu.
Yes, Siddharth, thank you so much for joining us and giving us all those details. Well, now moving on, this attempted patch-up is happening after months of hectic diplomacy. Our next report looks at what it took to get the two sides back on track.
On the face of it, India and Nepal have everything in common. There's a shared culture and religion. An estimated 3 million Nepali nationals live and work in India. There's free movement across borders. Yet, ties between the two capitals have rarely been smooth. It was so during the days when Nepal was a monarchy. It's so today in Republican Nepal. Let's look at the recent missteps by India and Nepal. In 2015, Delhi opposed the new Nepali constitution, saying it did not address the concerns of the Madhesis living in the plains of Nepal bordering India. But KP Oli stoutly defended the constitution, rejecting India's concerns. India backed a blockade by the Madhesis, cutting off essential supplies to Kathmandu. Oli stoked ultra-nationalism and sought China's support. India forged a coalition of Maoists, Nepali Congress and Madhesis to fight Oli. Oli won over the Maoists and with China's support won the polls last year. But politics is the art of compromise. In the weeks leading up to his victory in December 2017 and thereafter, Oli and Narendra Modi were reported to have struck up a working relationship. Interlocutors conveyed messages between the two leaders. They spoke over the phone apparently 3 times. It was all plain speaking. Oli complained about how India had treated him, how Delhi tried to undermine him in 2015 and toppled his government in 2016. Intermediaries told him to let bygones be bygones. India stayed neutral during the elections and is committed to working with Prime Minister Oli, but he must stop his anti-India rants. What now then? Course correction is underway, with India keen to address Nepal's stalled development issues. Pending projects such as work on the 900 megawatt Arun hydroelectric will be remotely inaugurated by Modi and Oli on Saturday. Also, the integrated checkpost in Birganj. India had offered $1 billion in 2015 to help Nepal rebuild after the earthquake. With a strong government in power in Nepal, much can be accomplished. Bureau Report, WION.
Now, as we can see that we can sense a hint of diplomacy in this tactful and strategically planned meeting. The patch-up is happening after months of hectic diplomacy. And as we heard the Prime Minister, Nepal Prime Minister Oli talking about, and he kept reiterating how friendship is a crucial step towards further evolving this relationship, this friendship between India and Nepal. And he also talked about how the friendship has come a long way. It has evolved as per the need and to eradicate poverty, to improve life standards, and how the friendship of India and Nepal has been historic. Now, what is important to focus on here is what the delegation talks will be all about, what the agenda of the day, of the conversation will be all about. Now, they'll be holding comprehensive talks discussing on a range of issues of mutual interest, including trade and political situation. Other issues will be discussed with India, including agricultural modernization of Nepal, increasing production and trade, and connectivity. Now, Siddhant is joining us again. Siddhant, I mean, would you agree that this seems to be a very diplomatic move? He kept talking about how friendship is so important between India and Nepal, but where was all this diplomacy when the relationship seemed to be sour?
Well, very rightly said. I'm standing at the forecourt of the Rashtrapati Bhavan, where just a short while back we saw that grand ceremony happening. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, welcoming the Prime Minister of Nepal, KP Sharma Oli, who is on a 3-day visit to India. And today is the main day of engagement, where he will be having bilateral level talks at the Hyderabad House, and of course later on press statements will be made. But talking about your question, we saw a statement being made by the Nepal's Prime Minister here at the forecourt of the Rashtrapati Bhavan, and he spoke about friendship, the historical friendship between both the countries. He said that it's time to look forward, not backwards. That obviously means a reset he's expecting, and the purpose of this visit is a reset between Nepal and India, because we have seen last 2 years haven't been very good for the ties between both the countries. We have seen number of lows actually between both the ties and relationship. But talking about the first stint of KP Sharma Oli, it wasn't good. He alleged that India is responsible for destabilizing his government. We saw that economic blockage happening, and now again he is the Prime Minister. How New Delhi will be dealing with him is something which will be worth watching. But as of now, the visit has started, and a lot of things are on the table, including development projects. One of the development project in Nepal will be remotely launched from the Hyderabad House by both the Prime Minister, and of course KP Sharma Oli will be raising the issue of demonetization, something that has worried the common man in Nepal also, because we know that Indian currency is widely used and acceptable in Nepal, and after demonetization they had a lot of Indian currency which still hasn't been converted, in a sense, converted into new denomination of Indian currency, and that's something which with the Nepal government has been saying for a long time now. But other than that, from India's side, the worry will be China, because we all know that China is the elephant in the room in this relationship now, because Nepal is part of the One Belt One Road initiative, and for India, that's not a good thing, because India definitely doesn't want to be part of that initiative, because it passes through Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. If India accepts it, it actually legitimizes Pakistan's claim on that territory. So that's why India won't be part of that. And other than that, huge Chinese presence. Well, long ago, China and Nepal, even though they were neighbors, it wasn't possible geographically. The Himalayas were partly responsible for it, but now it's okay, because China is connecting Nepal to itself, not only physically but also through networks such as optical fiber networks. There are plans to build Lhasa-Kathmandu railways. After the earthquake, we saw a lot of Chinese help to rebuild Nepal, while India, of course, was held responsible for economic blockage, and that, of course, made life of the common Nepali citizen difficult. So a lot of negativity, it seems, there on the ground in Nepal, but a lot of PR, at least a lot of good vibes for China in Nepal.
Well, thank you, Siddhant, so much for joining us and giving us all those details.